Hey there, Libra. Welcome to your divine guidance reading. The following is going to be for those who their sun, moon, rising, and or Venus are in the sign of Libra. What is it that the collective Libra needs to know at this time, especially as we transit through the latter half of November? We do have the card of grounded, and I feel as though you're going to be anchoring in some very potent realizations after I go to cut. Divinity. Yeah, it's like I, I can I say that I'm divine? Am I allowed to whose authority can I say that I am divine? It's such a Libra thing to do. I love it. Got the card of relief. I get the sense that Libra, you're gonna feel so much better about the decisions that you've been making, feeling better about being yourself for the first time, not having to be way too overly cautious about, I don't want to like rock the boat. I don't want to hurt other people's feelings. Got the card of guides. And I get a sense that the way that you interact with your guides during this phase, there's going to be a huge shift, especially I feel like you've been cycling through a new set of friendships, reevaluating the types of people that you associate with. And when you switch friends, you may notice how certain guides and energies shift along with that. And we also have spiritual cleansing. Uh, and even with that, like these new guides are going to be giving you new light codes to give you permission to let go of certain traumatic energies along with knowledge. The word must be written. I feel like some of you guys might be called to even start journaling, documenting, writing, creating, searching. There's something very activating about Libra's timeline. But when I was trying a couple of times to get this reading started, I saw full moon and then it was new moon, which is a bit of a confirmation of this timeline. This is actually a narrow field of vision for you guys. While I have been loosely divining for the entire time that Venus is in Capricorn, that sort of 30 to 40 day cycle, there's something in here just specific for Libra that you're just going to feel good about the level of protections that you have. You have the authority to speak from heart and soul. And it's going to finally give you a chance to start working on something or working towards something that you've had your heart set on. The card of relief, like we have Six of Pentacles. And this is not being overly generous with people or situations that they just don't get you. Like you've probably been trying to hide aspects of yourself. Why? Because name a reason. I said earlier, you're trying not to rock the boat necessarily, but part of it has been your challenge where if you've been trying to talk to people, trying to get through to people, trying to communicate something, and they're just not getting it, just recognizing, wait, they're not my audience. These people are more content with being in an echo chamber, and you're actually getting ready to start speaking more outwardly. Oh, what do you have? Seven of Cups, the Lovers, along with Page of Wands. Uh, when you're divinely protected, you have options. And when you have options and you know that you are divine, it means that these aren't supposed to be overly burdensome. They're just opportunities for you to look at the same situation from multiple different angles. It's kind of like I'm getting a lot of snakes and ladders, that that board game when we were kids, or maybe you have kids and you still play the game. There's something he said, if you're going to play snakes and ladders, you can totally predict what kind of journey they're going to be on, but at the end of the day, when you roll the dice, it really depends. Sometimes you get a ladder and you get to elevate, other times you hit the snake and you got to go back down a peg or two. But there's something about you're learning to enjoy the journey, and in many ways not feeling as though hitting a snake is the death of you, even if it is taking you back. That one big snake that takes you to the back to the beginning. You're like, no, why? you've been going through certain loops and going through certain cycles because you need to get multiple perspectives on something. This is very enlightening. Given that I do have the card of the lovers, like I'm actually mostly drawn to the Merkaba that's sitting between the third eye of the two characters on the deck. This is a inner unity. This is inward marriage. This is finally recognizing the part of you that was trying to let you know that you're going to be going through something difficult and you kind of ignored it because going through difficult things is bad. That's what happens when you're in a survivor headspace, as opposed to recognizing your intuition's telling you, okay, you're going to get a ladder and you're going to get upward mobility, but pay attention, you will be encountering this snake and you will have to go back again. You may have tried to govern this experience by saying, oh, I did a good and then I did a bad. The universe gave me a treat or the universe punished me. But as you begin to develop a more neutralizing approach to your journey, this is just recognizing I'm dancing. I'm going to a rhythm. I'm understanding a frequency and severity of energy. There's something very cool. It's very specific for Libra. This feels freeing. This feels as though you're going to have a chance to start getting creative in ways that you would have totally held yourself back. That self-critical the self-critical conversations would have gotten you down. But some of you, I'm being told, like, if you're feeling critical about the work that you are doing, just know that you're just channeling the insecurities of the people who will be looking at your work. It doesn't necessarily mean they're saying that about your work. They're just constantly worried that other people are criticizing their work. Like, this is echo, echo, echo. Whose echo have you been listening to? I really like that a lot of the messages that have been pouring through the collective, especially with this reboot that I have been personally going through, like my moon is in Libra, and there's been so many things going on in the subconscious realm, as though, well, if I have to start again, if I have to start from scratch, it means I did something bad, as opposed to, no, you actually have an entire archive of information to work with. And with these, whether if this is new guides or this is going to be how you relate to your guides from this point forward, you actually have options and you're being encouraged by them to start exploring and no longer being so hell-bent on getting to the end of the game to win the game. You can always play again. That's kind of the fun thing about board games. We keep coming back to them, sometimes to win, but other times it's just to have fun, to have an experience, to enjoy a little time with people who, ideally you like, or maybe you're ignoring that you don't like them, which, I feel like I'm traumatizing someone's low key. It's there is some humor within here, recognizing the type of company that you've been keeping, and maybe they're not worth keeping around if it's just not your responsibility, or if it's not really adding to you in the grand scheme of it. Nine of Pentacles. Um, there's gonna be some slow moving change, even though this is like a 2 week window from the full moon Taurus into the new moon of Sagittarius. What I called the new moon a Skeletor, and also this card went upside down. I feel like there's some childhood wounding that does need to be resolved. Why is this so funny? What's going on here? Seven of Pentacles, Page of Swords. We got some more pagey energy. Like, oh man, okay. I need to ground myself. I don't know why that was so funny. What was I talking about again, guides? Like, this is really appreciating the wibbly wobbly, especially for those of you who are really neurodivergent and you can't necessarily keep a linear thought to save your life. Could you also consider you're not supposed to be keeping linear thought? Everyone's brains have different neurons and chemistry and experiences within their reality, and they talk about the neurotypical and the neurodivergent, and like there's some ruthless bastard energy where it's sort of like, well, maybe the neurodivergent are the typical. There's something to be said about normal just means just like me. Like, if you're normal, you must be like me, for which none of us are normal. We are very hashtag weird trademark in this collective. But given I keep getting the snakes and ladders energy, like it's kind of silly. What if you decided to divine to yourself? Like if you had an old board game just kicking around and you decided to play it by yourself, just rolling the dice, see what happens. Like how do you feel when the snake goes down? How often are you climbing ladders? How does that make you feel? Like there's a funny game within here. If you decided to play snakes and ladders, could you use it to divine what the next few weeks are going to be? Even where you get your divination tools from are completely shifting. Like being able to start seeing it in the day to day, whether if you're into gardening or if you're an artist, if you enjoy communications, there's something about whatever it is that you're already doing in your day-to-day routine that's actually very informative. You can keep using the tarot cards, you can use the runes, the crystals, the numerologies, the synchronicities, but there's something about the Libra collective, where as you're getting way more acquainted with your inner soul self, your feminine energy finally meeting up in your heart space with your masculine energy, there's this divine understanding and realizing how both aspects have tremendous wisdom for each other. That even when you do get the ping that something bad is going to happen, you don't react as though you're in a survival headspace. The masculine will ignore the feminine, even though the feminine's like, look, I just tried to tell you that something's up ahead. Why are you getting angry at me? And then the masculine runs off because they're totally afraid of something else bad happening again, because they had some energy, a karmic feminine mentality that made them feel as though if you take a step back, you must be annoying. You must be an idiot. You must be, I'm going to use the word retarded, which is just the French word for slow, but it's one of those energies where it's like, how come when you say it that way, you're being mean? Someone's been very mean to you, and it's because they didn't understand that you think a different way. It doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's different. We are going into a world where if we cannot find ways to honor differentiating opinions, that's where war happens. And war is unfortunately a huge theme as of now. And war, again, is nothing more than our inability to have different opinions. When we can have differing opinions, it doesn't mean we have to like it, but we still can have peace. What is a spiritual cleansing for the Libra collective? Like I feel this old sage wisdom, like this kind of grandparent, great grandparent energy coming through. And it's this feeling like you're just, it's okay. You know what? I've been through this. I understand that my mentality was just reacting because it was scared. But when you have great power and you are willing to take responsibility for it, there's something very game changing that I detect within here. Three of Wands. So, we had a Two of Wands in the baseline, escalating to a Three of Wands. When you're going out and seeking new ways of approaching your reality, you become informed. It's a little bit of this knowledge that I see here as well, that you can understand how tides work. That I grew up as a prairie girl, and we actually had a couple of like we had a student that was killed on a class trip in California back in the year 2000. And part of the thing was it was a bunch of students and parents. It was outdoor club and went on a hiking trip along the California coast. The problem is it was all run by a bunch of prairie people who didn't know how to judge the tides or get proper information on how tides work, nor did they have proper information to know that if somebody gets sucked into a rip curl, what do you do? Because 99% of the time is you don't do anything. But a student and a teacher were swept in, and another student and a parent went in after them. The ones that went to do the rescue, they drowned, but the ones who originally suckered in, they survived. There's a sense of over giving to a situation that has taken you down, taken you out, and you didn't actually have to step up in the first place. Not honoring your divine guidance has landed you into heartbreaking situations, because I remember the level of grief that the school felt for losing one of its students. It was a heroic act, but it's still sad that the person who was the original victim. They survived, but the hero was the one that drowned. You're being asked to stop being the martyr for other people. And when you become smarter, martyr, smarter, we don't want to get too silly because this is a very serious story. You know when it's worth diving in and helping people out, or if self-preservation makes more sense within the moment. You're literally becoming smarter. This isn't necessarily about intelligence. This is knowing that you can trust your instincts, that you can tap into your intuition, because you're learning how to listen to your own emotions first before allowing other people's karmic feminine ideas rock your own boat. um because I am seeing the boat that's here in the background. This is recognizing maybe I can send prayers, positive energy, and trust that I don't need to make this leap. There's been some kind of self-guilt, Libra, that I think you've struggled with, that you felt as though your inaction caused harm, that maybe if you waited too long and you lost the opportunity, waited too long and a life was lost, waited too long, an opportunity was lost. It was because you had an energy on you that made you believe that if you get confirmation ahead of time that something won't work out, you must be doing something wrong. It's a little bit of, can you change time? And the answer is no. Time is just nothing more than a cycle. And then we, in this in our incarnation, we just live it. And we can either choose to jump off and get into a different timeline. And in some ways, the kid who passed away, his name was Jason. Like, in some ways, this was quite literal. He jumped from one timeline into the next. And there's honoring other people's choice, even if we don't like the choices that they made. Nonetheless, they made the choice. And you don't need to feel helpless, not anymore. Queen of Swords. There's a comforting and it's like comforting and challenging conversation that you're going to be having with your guides. This feels very introspective, and you haven't been paying attention to the red flags. You've been warned about the red flags, and the 3D has probably even sent you friends to warn you about the red flags in your relationships, in the next steps. And even if those red flags are, hey, this may not work out for you now, but trust that if you follow it through, it will be fine. Again, getting out of that survival headspace is important because life isn't linear. People who are neurotypical, they can supposedly think on a linear level. Good for fucking them. There is a place for people who think that way, but you're finding your place with the way that you think. It's like, I'm not out of order, you're out of order. And you're not supposed to be thinking in linear thought. You can align with people who think in linear thought. And again, this is the differing opinion, recognizing, oh, they're going A from B to C to D, and that's the way they view their reality. Again, we're rhyming here, but you go from A to Z back up to B, evaluate Y, and then, go from C to Z. Like, because there's a different angle that you are approaching, but you must find mastery within it before you can even consider educating other people with how it is that you think and feel, especially those of you who struggle with insecurity. Kind of like we have this Nine of Swords along with knowledge. You may have felt as though the way that you acquire knowledge, the way that you learn, it might have bitten you in the ass. And you're probably not wrong. Like, whether if it's you're trying to learn how to read, or learning how to read people, how to read your own emotions, differentiating from other people's emotions, you've actually really lost yourself, Libra, all in the name of being equitable, all in the name of trying to get along with the crowd. And yeah, Two of Swords. It's led to this indecisiveness where you've been afraid to listen to your own guidance because your guidance sounds like a Debbie Downer. And other people, even though they got their heads up their asses, somehow they can make it work for them. But it means that you're not supposed to be on their timeline. Like, we sometimes align ourselves to cheaters, to haters, and even to people who are in poverty mindsets. We sometimes align to them because we don't want to listen to our own answers, or we depend way too much on their knowledge and on their quote unquote superiority that we ignore it. Or, if you were like me and had oppositional defiance disorder, didn't matter if my dad gave me good or bad advice, I never listened to him. Until finally, like, yeah, I fucked up with some insurance when I was a kid, and I'm like, okay, I'll listen to dad this one time, and finding some balance on when it is good to listen to, advice versus thanks for your advice, and knowing that you can still return to your own divine guidance. Like, when your friends shift, this energy becomes way easier to navigate. There's an ask for you to just allow friends to fall away from this time. Five of Swords. Yeah, this is cutting down your own ideas, cutting down your own intuition, especially for those of you who struggle with, I know better. I should have known better. Like, I felt it, I saw it, and it happened. Like, I am a Murphy after all, and if anything can go wrong, it will. And it's not to say that I'm wishing bad luck upon myself. It's having a sense of humor for the two-step forward and the one-step back. But through all of that, it is still learning how to dance. Three of Cups. This is a confirmation that you will be finding new friends to celebrate with, and especially when you become more open and honest with where it is that you are at. You don't need to be pushy, and in some ways, it's just zoop. Shutting the fuck up is exactly what it is that you need to do. King of Cups doesn't always talk about his emotions. Again, you can be male, female, or non-binary. This is your masculine energy where it's sort of like maybe you had to overshare your emotions to try and get it across to people how it is that you're feeling, to the point it becomes fiery instead of watery, or it's just completely shut down and nobody can read you because you've been unemotional. Like, you probably struggled this with people, but others have struggled this with you. And there's something about knowing that it's okay to speak when it's worth speaking, but it's also okay to listen. A healthy King of Cups knows how to listen, and a healthy Queen of Swords knows what information is worth taking in. The karmic version of these energies will listen to all of your problems, and then they will document it for later and use it against you. You're trying not to be this person. So there's something you said, stop creating this illusion that you are that narcissist. You don't need to you don't need to make a documentary of other people's rights and wrongs, but you just need to remember your own intuition. Just make documentation of when you were right. Just remind yourself that your intuition, when it is right and when it is wrong. High vibrational people are more than willing to admit and, pardon me, high vibrational people are always willing to accept when they are wrong. They're willing to set the record straight within themselves first. Make that your priority, because if other people aren't willing to reflect your good example, it means that they are not good for you. And all they'll continue to do is distort what you know is going to happen for yourself. So, whew, let's get one quick little message here for Libra, and we'll think we'll call it a day. I'm feeling almost out of breath in your energy. Chamber of teleportation, love it. Journey, exchange, and transference. Get ready to go from one timeline into a new timeline. You're just being asked to observe what's going on. Just recognize the ups and the downs, just to know that you're actually really hella psychic. And if you move forward understanding the ebbs and flows of this 3D reality, there is no right, there is no wrong. There's just a journey and a story for you to explore. I'm just saying. Oof. Well, Libra, whoever you guys are, damn, I sincerely hope that this helped. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you like my style, please make sure to like the video on the way out. And if you're kind of curious about the next message, I highly recommend that you subscribe. And until I see you at the next one, I'm wishing you peace, love, and all the berries. Bye.